Alright, hello everyone, it's Happy, and today we're talking about the Object 263. This tank is receiving a humongous buff in the upcoming update, and we're just going to be breaking that down and looking into it. Now, this tank is most and foremost getting an armor buff. We're going to get into that in a second, but let's talk about the nerfs first of all, right? So the maximum view range was nerfed on this tank, so that doesn't necessarily matter. This is a TD, especially a close range TD and assault gun, so I wouldn't necessarily say it matters that much. The AP shell changed to APCR. So this is technically sort of a nerf because APCR shells are definitely going to be worse than standard AP shells. Now the APCR shells have changed to heat. So this also means that heat has less normalization than APCR. So again, I wouldn't necessarily say heat shells are better than APCR when it comes to gold shells, right? Now, the standard shell penetration for the standard shell, as I just said, is being nerfed from 300 millimeters to 285. 50 millimeters is quite a bit. It's no longer the usual 4 or 5 millimeters from Wargaming. It's a whole 15, so it may be a little bit felt when in game, right? And of course, the shell velocity on all three shells was nerfed as well. So that's obviously not too nice, in my opinion. Especially the gold shell velocity being nerfed by a humongous portion from 1250 to 830 is really going to be felt. Trust me. Now, when it comes to the buffs, we have a premium shell penetration. So the heat penetration is being buffed from 330 to 360. So the AP shells, well, not AP anymore, APCR shells have gotten a nerf when it comes to the armor penetration, but the heat shells, so the gold shells, have gotten a buff when it comes to the penetration in turn, and it got a 30 millimeter buff, so that's pretty good. Now the reload time was buffed from 7.2 seconds down to 6.9. So now the DPM is almost 4,000, 3,997. That is an insane number. And basically 4K DPM on a tank destroyer is literally going to shred you to pieces. Now, the most important change when it comes to the 263 is that the frontal superstructure, so the overall crew compartment area, was buffed from 347 millimeters all the way up to 368. So now if you look on the screen, you can see that the Object 263 is going to be a lot more armored than before, and penetrating it in a clinch, for example, is going to be a little bit harder, especially into the roof area and near the top of the hull. So that is also very, very good. On top of that, we got a hull side armor buff from 100 millimeters to 120 millimeters on the sides, and from 60 to 90 millimeters on the lower sides. And lastly, the engine deck armor was buffed from 30 to 68 millimeters. So now this is going to look extremely strong in a lot of aspects, and it's going to be more prone to ricochets and blocking shots, which I'm very glad about, because the 263 felt like a cardboard piece of crap sometimes, especially because everyone could just smash right through it. But now I feel like this tank is gaining a little bit more character when it comes to the armor. Of course, it's not that great that other aspects of the tank are being nerfed, but that is what is necessary in order to sort of balance this tank out. Because if you only give it buffs, then I feel like this tank would have been far too OP. But overall, the gun handling is still mediocre on this thing because of the gun depression, etc., etc. So I don't know if it's going to change that much compared to before. Anyway, Happy is out. Tell me what you guys think about this, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.